Shocking event in the family's basement. Today, we dive into a chilling story that took place behind the closed doors of what seemed like an ordinary family home. At first glance, everything appeared perfect: successful careers, a beautiful house, and a happy family. But the truth was far darker than anyone could have imagined. In this story, we unravel the unsettling details of a family's tragic downfall and the disturbing events that led to one of the most shocking investigations. Stay with us as we reveal the shocking twists that no one saw coming. Don't forget to subscribe and like for more gripping stories from Reddit. A terrifying and deeply unsettling event occurred within the basement of a seemingly perfect family home. On the surface, the Walsh family appeared to be living an enviable life. They were prosperous, successful, and portrayed an image of happiness to the outside world. Their luxurious home was filled with every comfort money could buy, leaving little to be desired. Yet, behind the closed doors of this grand house, a dark reality was hidden from the prying eyes of neighbors and friends. The public had no idea of the secrets and struggles brewing within, which would eventually culminate in a tragic and shocking incident. Even Anna's own mother, someone who shared a close bond with her, had no clue about the dangers her daughter was facing. Brian Walsh, Anna's husband, was not just a charming man. He had a complex and manipulative personality that allowed him to win Anna's heart under unusual circumstances. Years earlier, Brian had managed to pull Anna away from her first husband in a way that was so troubling it involved harassment and threats, prompting the former couple to seek police protection. Despite this, Anna eventually left her first husband and chose to be with Brian. The couple was married for over 7 years, but what went so wrong in their marriage that it turned into a story that made national headlines? Anna Lubicic, later known as Anna O'Neill from her first marriage, was born on April 18, 1983 in Belgrade, Serbia. Her upbringing was set against the backdrop of a vibrant and cultured family environment. Growing up with her younger sister, Anna was surrounded by love and encouragement. Her family valued education and culture, which reflected in her academic achievements. She attended the prestigious Fifth Belgrade Gymnasium, where she quickly became known as an outstanding student. Her brilliance and determination earned her a place at Belgrade Research University, the oldest and largest institution of higher education in Serbia. At the university, Anna pursued her passion for foreign languages, ultimately earning a master's degree in French language and literature. Her dedication to learning and her exceptional linguistic skills set her apart. By the time she graduated at the age of 22, Anna was ready to explore opportunities beyond her homeland. Supported by her family, she made the life-changing decision to move to the United States in 2005. For Anna, this was a chance to chase her dreams on a global stage and to carve out a bright future for herself. Once in the U.S., Anna focused on furthering her education in hospitality management, a field where her natural warmth and charisma could shine. She began her career working in administrative roles at elite hotels. One of her most notable positions was at the Inn at Little Washington in Virginia, a renowned establishment known for its luxury and excellence. Anna quickly made an impression with her friendly demeanor, strong work ethic, and dedication to her responsibilities. Her ability to connect with people and her attention to detail allowed her to climb the professional ladder with remarkable speed. Colleagues and supervisors respected Anna not only for her professional skills, but also for the positive energy she brought into every space she entered. Her life seemed like the embodiment of success, a talented, hardworking woman achieving her dreams in a foreign land. But behind this success story, the seeds of tragedy were quietly taking root. The facade of happiness and achievement would soon shatter, leaving behind questions about who Anna truly was and what led to the devastating events that would later unfold. Anna's love for travel further shaped her outlook on life, exposing her to new cultures and experiences that fueled her ambitions. Her career soared as she climbed the corporate ladder, eventually being promoted to senior manager. Her intelligence, stunning beauty, and graceful demeanor often turned heads wherever she went. People were drawn to her not just for her looks, but also for her warm personality and bright smile. It was during her time at the Wheatley Hotel in Lenox, Massachusetts, that she met Marcus O'Neill, the head chef of the establishment. Their relationship blossomed into a romance, and the couple married in 2009, with Anna taking her husband's last name. While Anna's story was one of determination and hard work, Brian Walsh's life was shaped by privilege and excess. Born in July 1975 in Boston, Massachusetts, Brian grew up in an affluent and respected family. His father, Thomas Walsh, was a highly regarded neurologist who worked at one of the top hospitals in the state. He not only led a department, but also taught at a prestigious medical university. Brian's family enjoyed a lifestyle of wealth and comfort, and he was given every possible advantage from a young age. He attended the best private schools, wore expensive designer clothing, and never experienced a moment of financial struggle. Despite his privileged upbringing, Brian's academic life was far from impressive. His parents made every effort to provide him with a top-tier education, arranging for him to attend 3 of the most prestigious colleges in the country. However, Brian struggled to stay enrolled and eventually failed to complete his education. Even though he lacked discipline in his studies, he was far from unintelligent. Those who knew him described him as cunning, shrewd, and ambitious, often using manipulation to get what he wanted. His charm masked an aggressive and calculating nature that allowed him to navigate his way through challenges with ease. Brian's obsession with wealth and luxury became evident early in his life. He was known for his relentless desire to maintain a high-end lifestyle without parting with his own money. As a young man, he frequently borrowed money from friends but rarely repaid his debts. During his college years, he developed a reputation for inviting friends to expensive restaurants and then finding ways to avoid paying his share of the bill. This pattern of manipulation and self-indulgence painted a picture of someone who valued material possessions and appearances above all else. While Anna's life was a testament to hard work and integrity, Brian's story was one of privilege and entitlement. Their vastly different backgrounds and personalities made their union all the more intriguing. Anna was admired for her kindness and ambition, while Brian was known for his cunning and extravagant desires. Together, their lives would take an unexpected and dramatic turn that no one could have predicted. Brian Walsh's relationship with his father, Dr. Thomas Walsh, had been fractured for years and never fully mended before the elder Walsh's death in 2018. The root of their estrangement lay in a shocking betrayal by Brian, who had stolen nearly $1 million from his father's personal account. After withdrawing the funds, Brian disappeared without explanation, leaving his father deeply hurt and furious. Despite the betrayal, Thomas chose not to report his son to the authorities. Instead, he tried to reason with Brian, hoping he would return the money voluntarily. However, Brian refused, and the father-son relationship was irreparably broken. By the time this incident occurred, Thomas Walsh had divorced Brian's mother and moved on to start a new family. Feeling utterly betrayed, Thomas decided to cut Brian out of his life completely, even removing him from his will. When Dr. Walsh passed away in 2018, Brian wasted no time asserting himself. He contested the will, accusing his father's widow and younger children of forging the document to deny him. Despite his troubling traits, Brian managed to weave his way into Anna's life in what can only be described as a bizarre and unsettling love story. Anna first crossed paths with Brian in 2014 while working as a senior reservation manager at the Wheatley Hotel in Massachusetts. At the time, she was married to Marcus O'Neill, who also worked at the hotel as the head chef. Brian, who was a guest at the hotel, became immediately infatuated with Anna. Her marital status did nothing to deter him. If anything, it only seemed to fuel his determination. Brian began pursuing Anna with relentless focus, ignoring all boundaries. He showered her with attention that quickly escalated into obsessive behavior. Not one to take no for an answer, he managed to obtain Anna's phone number and even her home address. His advances soon turned into harassment, disrupting Anna and Marcus's lives. What started as unwelcome attention became an all-consuming nightmare for the couple, who found themselves under constant pressure from Brian's unyielding pursuit. By 2015, the situation had escalated to the point where Anna and Marcus were forced to seek police protection. Brian's harassment was relentless, continuing day and night without pause. His behavior not only strained Anna's marriage, but also made her life unbearable. Despite their efforts to keep him at bay, Brian's persistence eventually changed the course of Anna's life forever. What began as a toxic obsession would soon spiral into a series of events that no one could have anticipated. Brian Walsh's obsession with Anna continued to escalate, turning into something that could only be described as dangerous. He relentlessly pursued her, showing up unexpectedly, bombarding her with phone calls at work, and sending her constant messages to her personal number. His demands became increasingly forceful, insisting that she leave her husband and be with him. Matters took a darker turn when he began threatening both Anna and her husband, warning them that harm would come their way if Anna refused to comply. The exact details of what happened next remain unclear, but Anna eventually made a decision that surprised everyone. Despite seeking police protection from Brian just a year earlier, Anna unexpectedly divorced her husband shortly after she married Brian, becoming his second wife in what many viewed as a puzzling twist of events. The newlyweds began their life together in a beautiful and luxurious home in Cohasset, Massachusetts, located in an upscale neighborhood just 20 miles southeast of Boston. The house, surrounded by manicured lawns and quiet streets, seemed to be the perfect setting for a happy family life. It was here that Anna and Brian welcomed their 3 sons into the world, with each child born just a couple of years apart. Anna juggled the demanding responsibilities of motherhood with her blossoming career, refusing to take maternity leave even after having her children. Her dedication and hard work paid off as she climbed the corporate ladder, eventually becoming the regional general manager for Tishman Speyer, a leading real estate company. Her position came with a high salary, making Anna the primary breadwinner of the household. Her job often required her to travel to Washington, D.C., where she eventually purchased a second home in her name. This property became her base during work trips, while visiting nannies, helped care for her young children during her absence. At the time of Anna's disappearance, her sons were just 6, 4, and 2 years old. Despite her demanding schedule, Anna managed to balance her family life and career with grace and efficiency. She was a source of strength and stability for her household, taking on the financial responsibilities while ensuring her children were well cared for. Her success stood in stark contrast to Brian's situation, as he remained unemployed and without a clear source of income. The $1 million he had stolen from his father years earlier had dwindled, and he now relied on Anna's earnings to maintain their lifestyle. Brian, however, wasn't content with living off his wife's accomplishments. He constantly sought ways to make easy money, but his efforts were far from honest. Before marrying Anna, Brian had spent time in South Korea, where he befriended a wealthy individual whose family owned a prestigious art collection. This connection would later prove to be a key part of Brian's schemes. After returning to the United States, he maintained his relationship with the wealthy friend, and one day an opportunity presented itself. The friend, seeing a chance to profit, Brian eagerly took on the task. However, his motivations were far from pure. Instead of working legitimately to assist his friend, he saw an opportunity to exploit the situation for his personal gain. As Anna continued to build her career and provide for their family, Brian's shady dealings and schemes hinted at trouble brewing beneath the surface. While Anna's life was marked by progress and success, Brian's actions painted a very different picture, one of greed and dishonesty that would ultimately contribute to the unraveling of their seemingly perfect life. When Brian Walsh was approached by his wealthy friend to assist in selling several valuable Andy Warhol paintings, he saw a golden opportunity to do more than just earn a commission. These abstract paintings, part of a collection titled Shadows, were incredibly valuable, with each piece appraised at roughly $250,000. Armed with the artwork and the necessary documentation, including certificates of authenticity, Brian devised a much more elaborate plan. Instead of simply brokering the sale of the originals, he decided to create counterfeit versions of the paintings and their accompanying documents. To bring his scheme to life, Brian enlisted the help of skilled artists who could produce near-perfect replicas of the Warhol pieces. He convinced the artists that the copies were merely backups for the originals, given their immense value and the risks associated with handling them. The artists, unaware of Brian's true intentions, delivered precise reproductions that Brian used to deceive his buyers. For several years, he sold these forgeries to collectors around the world, presenting them as genuine Warhol works. His operation went undetected for quite some time, earning him substantial profits from unsuspecting art enthusiasts. However, Brian's fraudulent activities eventually caught up with him. One of his buyers, an experienced art collector and expert in Andy Warhol's works, quickly recognized that the painting he had purchased was a forgery. The collector wasted no time in filing a lawsuit against Brian, and the case attracted the attention of the FBI. By April 2021, after an in-depth investigation, Brian was charged with selling counterfeit art. Realizing the strength of the evidence against him, he pleaded guilty in court. To avoid serving jail time, his lawyer negotiated a deal requiring him to repay the money he had earned from the fraudulent sales. Although Brian avoided prison, the court placed him under house arrest, significantly restricting his freedom. Under the terms of his sentence, Brian was allowed to leave his home for limited purposes. He could take his children to and from their schools twice a day and was granted a small window of time in the mornings to run essential errands such as visiting grocery stores, pharmacies, and other approved locations. These movements were strictly documented and had to align with an official list provided by the court. For a man who had lived freely and lavishly for years, the restrictions were a heavy blow. As Brian dealt with the consequences of his actions, life appeared to continue as usual in the Walsh household, at least on the surface. On December 31st, 2022, the family prepared to celebrate New Year's Eve in their home. Only the five of them, Brian, Anna, and their three young sons, were present. The children, given their ages, were put to bed early, leaving Anna and Brian to enjoy the evening together. That day, Anna posted a message on social media extending holiday greetings and reflecting on the challenges she had faced throughout the year. Her post also hinted at unity in her marriage, stating that she and Brian had weathered the difficulties together. Just days later, Anna vanished without a trace. She had been scheduled to fly to Washington, D.C. for work on January 3rd, 2023, but when she failed to appear, her employer, Tishman Speyer, reported her missing to the police on January 4th. The sudden disappearance shocked everyone who knew her. What had seemed like a quiet New Year's celebration took a dark turn, leaving many questions unanswered. As the investigation into Anna's mysterious disappearance began, the seemingly perfect image of the Walsh family began to crack, revealing troubling secrets that would soon come to light. Anna Walsh's disappearance quickly became alarming, especially when she failed to show up for work on January 3rd, 2023. As planned, her absence was particularly concerning because she was expected to close an important deal. Repeated attempts to contact her had gone unanswered, with her phone switched off for several days. Alarmed by her sudden silence, her employer, Tishman Speyer, reported her missing to the police on January 4th. Around the same time, Brian Walsh, her husband, also contacted authorities claiming he was worried because he had not heard from her since January 1st. On January 5th, the situation became more urgent. Police made a public appeal, broadcasting Anna's photo on television and asking anyone with information about her whereabouts to come forward. The broadcast drew attention to the mystery surrounding her disappearance and intensified the search efforts. The lack of clear answers, coupled with Brian's suspicious behavior, added to the growing tension around the case. As the days passed, the Walsh family's once picture-perfect life began to unravel, leaving the community and investigators desperate to uncover the truth about what had happened to Anna. Despite extensive efforts, no witnesses came forward with any helpful information about Anna Walsh's disappearance. The last known contact Anna had was on December 31st, 2022, when she made calls to her mother and sister. This made Brian Walsh, her husband, the last person known to have seen her alive. Investigators scoured the neighborhood's surveillance footage, but found no signs of Anna leaving the house on the morning of January 1st. Curiously, while Anna's presence was absent, Brian was seen on camera multiple times, leaving and returning home. His movements raised questions, but the footage did not clearly reveal where he had gone or what he was doing. Brian initially claimed he had gone to the supermarket to run errands. However, this alibi quickly fell apart when no evidence of his vehicle or his presence in the store was found on surveillance footage. On January 8th, law enforcement arrested Brian for providing false statements to the police. This arrest marked a turning point in the investigation, and his home was subjected to a thorough search. During this search, new and disturbing details began to emerge, unraveling a chilling sequence of events. It was weeks before Anna's disappearance, Brian had been researching divorce laws online. He specifically looked into which U.S. states offered the most favorable terms for property division in cases of separation. His searches also delved into whether he could claim ownership of the second home in Washington, D.C., which was solely in Anna's name. These inquiries painted a picture of a man who may have been plotting to gain financial control, offering a potential motive for his subsequent actions. On January 1st, however, his online searches took a much darker turn. At around 4 a.m. on January 1st, Brian used his child's tablet to begin a series of disturbing searches. The first query was, how long does it take for a body to start decomposing? What followed was a horrifying string of nearly 20 searches on topics such as how to clean up blood, how to dismember a body, how to dispose of a body, and whether removing teeth could prevent identification. He also searched for information on the longevity of DNA evidence and whether a person could be charged with a crime if the victim's body was never found. It was chilling to think that he had used a device belonging to his own child, the child of the very woman he was allegedly planning to harm, to conduct these sinister searches. By January 3rd, Brian's focus had shifted to the potential gains from Anna's disappearance. He searched for ways to inherit property from someone who had gone missing, indicating a disturbing confidence that he could evade punishment. These searches revealed a man who appeared not only unrepentant, but also methodical in planning his next steps. Investigators were struck by the cold and calculated nature of these digital footprints, which spoke volumes about his mindset and intentions in the days surrounding Anna's disappearance. On January 18th, Brian Walsh was officially charged with the murder of his wife, Anna Walsh. Despite the absence of her body, prosecutors built a compelling case based on the forensic evidence, his suspicious online activity, and his inconsistent statements to authorities. They theorized that Brian killed Anna either intentionally or accidentally on the night of January 1st. He then dismembered her body in their basement and attempted to conceal his crime by discarding her remains in trash bins across various locations. Each step of his plan seemed to reflect a calculated effort to erase all traces of what had happened. Search efforts to locate Anna's remains intensified after the charges were filed. Law enforcement scoured areas surrounding the Walsh residence, as well as a wide radius of nearby wooded areas, wastelands, and bodies of water. Every possible lead was pursued, but no further evidence or remains were recovered. The lack of a body presented challenges for the investigation, but the mounting circumstantial and forensic evidence against Brian left little room for doubt. The case gripped the public, highlighting both the calculated nature of the crime and the chilling lengths one man went to in an attempt to escape accountability. Brian Walsh has pleaded not guilty to all charges and remains silent about the fate of Anna's body. Despite the overwhelming evidence, he refuses to cooperate with investigators or reveal what truly happened. Meanwhile, it has come to light that Anna had been feeling increasingly unhappy in her marriage. She had confided in her mother and sister during phone calls, mentioning that she was considering divorce. Her dissatisfaction seemed to escalate in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. On December 31st, just a day before she was last seen, Anna made a heartfelt plea to her mother, asking her to fly to the United States from Serbia for a short visit. Tragically, her mother did not act on this request, believing it wasn't urgent, and decided to delay her trip. The ongoing trial of Brian Walsh has drawn significant attention, with many eagerly awaiting justice for Anna. Currently, Brian is being held at the Norfolk Correctional Facility as he awaits his next court date. Anna's mother, who remains in Serbia, has been following the investigation closely, but has not traveled to the United States. The Serbian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been in communication with the consulate in New York to ensure that Anna's family is kept informed of all developments. The Norfolk District Attorney's Office has also made efforts to keep Anna's mother updated on the progress of the case and the scheduled hearings. As the legal process unfolds, questions about the future of the Walsh children have emerged. The 3 young boys, left orphaned by these tragic events, are now in state custody. Sadly, no members of Brian's family have come forward to take responsibility for the children. Anna's mother, due to her age and health issues, is unable to care for her grandsons. Anna's sister, who lives in Canada, also declined, stating that her current circumstances make it impossible to take them in. The situation has left the boys vulnerable and without immediate family willing to step in. Despite this, there is a glimmer of hope for the children. Anna's close friend, Pamela Barden, has expressed her willingness to care for them. She has voiced her preference for keeping the siblings together rather than allowing them to be separated into different foster homes. Pamela's dedication and compassion offer some relief in an otherwise heartbreaking situation. Authorities are now exploring this option as they work to secure a stable and loving environment for the boys amidst the turmoil of their mother's tragic fate and their father's ongoing trial. The case of Anna Walsh serves as a stark reminder of how appearances can be deceiving. Beneath the surface of wealth, success, and a seemingly happy family, dark secrets can hide. It highlights the dangers of manipulation, control, and the lengths to which some will go to achieve their desires. The tragic events that unfolded in the Walsh family's home will leave a lasting impact on everyone involved. Thank you for following this unsettling story. If you found it compelling, don't forget to subscribe for more stories from Reddit. Your comments, likes, and shares help us bring more thought-provoking content your way. Stay aware, stay informed, And we'll see you next time for another deep dive into a shocking story.